This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
We'll head back to Raleigh, North Carolina. We do have Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight. Dennis Bernstein, longtime friend of the show, joins the program. He's on site, senior writer for thefourthperiod.com, also hosts on SiriusXM NHL. Denny, good to see you, my man. Lifelong Knicks fan, too, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in the Bronx. I'm old enough to remember 70 and 73. So, look, that wasn't even sports last night, fellas. That was theater. Mm-hmm. That was incredible. I watched it from my room. Just incredible. And I heard tonight what the NHL plan to do is have one of the teams go down 7-0. And then they'll stage the same epic comeback like the NBA did. So, but all kidding aside, well, it should be a great game tonight. Yeah.
Honestly, that's not far-fetched the way that this Cup Final is going either.
Yeah. None of these teams know how to work with momentum. You got a 2-0 lead, you're not controlling anything.
Yeah.
You're probably better off getting down 2-0. Mitch, it's been a crazy, great 4 games. And I expect more of the same tonight. There's not much separating these teams. I think big questions, and we'll talk about it, is like what's going to happen in goal with actually both these teams.
Sure, absolutely. Let's start with Carolina. It's got to be Bussy again, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Bussy. Yep, and Freddie Anderson's not even dressed. They said they needed a day off, Paulie, but it's no longer a day off. There's something more going on, whether it's an injury, whether it's mental fatigue, I'm not sure. But now you lose Freddie for the rest of the play. I assume for the rest of the final. Like, how's he going to be mentally prepared to go back in net unless he gets bombarded tonight, Bussy? I don't see it. So it's basically Bussy's net to surrender. And Freddie's not even dressed. Kochetkov, the backup, the third-string goalies. It's just a stunning move by Rod Brind'Amour with not a lot of explanation behind it.
Okay, well, you're the perfect guy to ask about this because you have voted for the Conn Smythe Award in the past. How would you look at that now, right? If you think he's done for the playoffs, not going to go tonight, he was like the short shot for Carolina. And then after that, I was like, well, I can't really make a case for him or that guy. Or it's like throwing darts. Marner was the odds-on favorite. How would you look at it now?
It clinches it for Marner. I remember this is the MVP of the playoffs because, let's be real, Jordan Staal has a great final. He's been great. 5 goals in 4 games. He's the 25th leading scorer if you go to the NHL.com listing of scorers in the playoffs. He can't win it. Maybe Stankoven. Right, you couldn't give it to. If Bussy gets 2 more shuts out, he'd win 3 games. I'm sorry, it's not a Conn Smythe winner. Mm-hmm. And there's a separation between Mitch Marner and the next high score. I think is 10 points. Now, there's a precedent, right? Connor McDavid, but Connor McDavid had 42 points, Mitch, when he won the Conn Smythe. Mitch has had a great playoff, but he's only had 29. But I don't see anybody else emerging here because it's too late and see maybe a Taylor Hall, but somebody would have to blow up and maybe get a hat trick and 2 goals in the last 2 games for that to happen. I think the path is clear for Mitch Marner to win the Conn Smythe at this point.
Wow. So is that thought process pretty common, you think, amongst other voters and guys and women who you talk to?
Yeah, because it's MVP of the playoffs. It's not like the NBA where you have an MVP of the finals or the Western Conference. It's the entirety of it. And Mitch is produced for the entirety of the playoffs. You can talk about Carter Hart, but Carter Hart's off-ice troubles, I think, slants people away from him. I think that because of what happened with respect to his off-ice issues, nobody's going to be voting for him. And he hasn't played great either. His stats look good, but the last couple of games, I think consecutive games, he gave up 3 goals on 3 shots. He's knocked out as well. I don't see anybody else but Marner, to be totally honest with you.
What do you think of Hart's play, and how concerned are you moving forward?
Well, Aiden Hill's not getting in. This is Torts is gonna ride or die with Carter Hart. He's earned it. He hasn't played that poorly. It's like these teams in front of these players, in front of these goalies, haven't been great. Same thing with Freddie Anderson. Like, if Freddie was like of the right mind or physically right to go in, when he gave up those 4 goals in game 3, the team in front of him was terrible.
Absolutely.
They made so many mistakes. I didn't lay it on the goaltender. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was shocked they didn't go in for 4. So I think at this point, I just think I can't see Aiden Hill. There would have to be an injury, Paulie, for it to happen. I don't even think performance, short of him giving up 3 goals in the first minute, you'll see Aiden Hill. I think it's Carter Hart and Brendan Bussy for the duration of the final.
I'm shocked at what's transpired, the high scores, the mistakes, what's led the own goals and the breakaways. So how do you want to attack the game tonight? You expect more of the same?
Easy. I'm playing the over regardless of what the over is. And like you, I'm playing a goal in the first 10 minutes, and I'm playing the over 1.5 in the first period. Because these teams start fast. So one of these teams starts fast, and one of these teams starts slow.
Right.
And like you said, Paulie, I've never seen this in a cup final before. The scoring, the lack of momentum, the back and forth, and the quick goals. So you saw the other night in game 4, right? Carolina jumped on Vegas in the first, minute and a half. So I think that's how I would play. Play the over because I still think this offense, the defense haven't shown me anything. And these teams score quickly. They want to take advantage and jump on teams early. So I think those are the plays tonight for me.
Okay, so officially, again, all of those overs with the first period 1.5, the goal in the first 10, and also over 6. What are you hearing about Tortorella beyond this year? I know Mike Palm was on the show yesterday. Others have said, like, the promise was, well, you're going to be here until the end of June, and he's even said that, and then that's it. What do you think that's all about?
Well, I think if he wins, that's the second Stanley Cup he's won, Tortorella. I think he rides off into the sunset. What's there more to do? Like, he came in to do the job. What was the job? Get this team to the playoffs, get this team to win a Stanley Cup. If he loses, he walks away. I don't think either way he's going to coach next season here in Vegas. I really don't see it, Mitch. I don't see it unless he wants to continue to coach. But like you said, why not give him the contract for 2 or 3 years? And maybe they do give an extension at the end if he does win the cup and raise the cup. But he's in his 60s. He's won twice. His legacy would be cemented if he won. Very, very few coaches win 2 Stanley Cups with different teams. So I think he comes in, does the job. I think he walks off into the sunset, and maybe a year from now finds another challenge, because the challenge would have been mastered with Vegas. What's more to do? Back to back? This team's not going to win back to back. I just don't see it. So I think these are the final games for John Tortorella, at least in this version of John Tortorella.
What's the word around the campfire with Babcock going to Edmonton?
It's a very desperate team. That's what are doing it. Number one. Number two, Cassidy's not going to go to Edmonton. Vegas has their right to block it. And I'm sure that Edmonton is upset about that. But the clock's ticking in Edmonton, and they're desperate, and they need a proven winner. They can't go with a first-time coach or a young coach. They had to go with a hard ass because Knoblauch was not tough on these players, right? So it's crazy. There's going to be an investigation because supposedly there's more stuff that came out than just Babcock asking for players' phones when he was in Columbus. And they never did the investigation play because he resigned. He didn't want to go through it. It's desperation. But it's desperation because the clock is ticking on Connor McDavid. This is all revolving around Connor McDavid. They need to win. They need to win now. And they think that Babcock is the best choice. I'm not sure he is.
I don't know why this happened, but I never said the guy's name, like around my phone. But suddenly I had a bunch of these stories pop up on my Instagram feed about Babcock.
Yeah.
And they're all about how bad of a dude he is. He's a horrible individual. I'm like, well, is this really the truth? Is he a bad guy?
Ask some former players. It depends on the player, Mitch, but there's enough players who don't like him and have said stuff publicly, like a guy like Mike Commodore who played for him who can't stand him. There are a lot of players who do dislike him because of the way they were treated. And that's why the investigation's going on, Mitch. Have you ever heard before where the PA is calling for an investigation of a coach before they hire him? I've never heard of it.
No.
Because there's a reputation. No, you've never heard it. It's unprecedented. That's what makes this even more crazy. And it's going on during the Cup Finals. So I'm sure the league is not happy with this. But because of the situation, Cassidy, and they got to move. The draft is in a couple of weeks in Buffalo. They got to move and get a coach. It's a crazy time. It's just desperation by Edmonton. Because I said, if they don't win with the next 2 years for Connor McDavid, he's going to wind up somewhere else.
Let me throw these at you right now. I'm looking at goalie saves for tonight. Bussy, 20.5. That's the universal number across the screen. Carter Hart is either 26.5 or 27.5. What would you do with both those numbers?
I would play the over on Carter Hart. They're a puck possession team, Carolina. They're at home. The Bussy one is a tough one because if they do dominate puck possession, Carolina, Bussy's not going to face a lot of shots. But, if we get to a 5-3 game like we do, if we're going to go over 6, I think you play over on the saves on both teams because the defense has been leaky.
Yeah.
Not that Vegas can score without, like the other night, I think they had 3 goals on 20 shots. I'd play over the save totals because I just think that this script is going to go like the first 4 games. You're going to see a lot of offense. That should produce a lot of shots. So y'all play the overs on the goalie.
I'll tell you what, we need a Jack Eichel sighting tonight.
Yes, good point.
Are you right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. He was
2
close.
goals.
He was close the other night, but he's got to really show up.
Mitch, he had the tying goal on a stick.
Yep.
Like in front, and he shot it wide. Like he needs to have a big game. Like Mitch Marner's had his legacy game. It's time for Jack Eichel to have his legacy game, and there's not a better time than tonight for him. It's been a struggle from a goal scoring standpoint, Mitch. He's played well, but he needs to have a signature game. This sets up for a signature game for Jack Eichel. He's played well. He just hasn't produced, and he's had the opportunities.
You're the man. Let's grab a steak next time you're in Las Vegas. Follow him on X at DennisTFP. Does a great job for the fourthperiod.com and also SiriusXM NHL. Have fun at the game tonight, Dennis. We appreciate that.
Mitch Proli, always great being on FTM. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in. We're live in Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard. We appreciate you watching on YouTube TV, listening on Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our affiliates across the country. Update right now, the lid lifter to the 2026 World Cup. Mexico leads 2-0, 94th minute, and we are down to, this is 10-9 now. 3 red cards in the match?
Are you kidding? What did that pay? Did you see a prop before a tournament started?
Like how many total red cards would there be?
That's insanity.
I mean, you're on pace to absolutely go flying over whatever number that is now. 3 in the same match?
I remember 4 years ago, Bet Rivers would offer, will there be a red card at a good price?
Yeah.
3 of them.
Where'd you get 3?
It's Carter Bryant, first dunk of the game.
Yeah. Busy hour coming up. A lot to get into. Some Major League Baseball, WNBA, Stanley Cup, NBA as well. Great time of year. And right now we go out to the Progressive guest line. Our buddy Lou Finicaro joins the program now. The Bout Business podcast has write-ups every single week for the UFC at vsin.com. Lou, good to talk to you, my man. How you been?
Everything's great, Mitch. Really appreciate you having me on. Great time of the year in sport.
It's a really good card, too, coming up on Sunday, by the way. Let's begin with Topuria versus Gaethje. How do you see this match going?
Well, listen, Topuria has earned himself the position to be at the top of the heap pound for pound. He has decimated everyone he's been in with, from Holloway to Oliveira and others. And these guys, Holloway and Oliveira, have beaten Gaethje. So you have Topuria, who is legitimately recognized by every acute UFC handicapper as the top of the heap, and you have Gaethje. And what's Gaethje got? Well, he's an Arizonan. He's a much larger man. He's 38 years old compared to 29 for Topuria, and the wear and tear Gaethje has taken is affecting a lot of people and how they view this fight, or they look at Topuria as firing fresh. No one's given Gaethje a chance. No one gave Holly Holm a chance. This is Gaethje, an American, a wrestler, going to do his best for his parents, going to do his best for his country. And quite honestly, I'm approaching this card with relative reckless abandon, Mitch. I'm going to take Gaethje via KO, TKO, or DQ. So any finish, which is reasonably the way he wins, should he pull a rabbit out of his hat and win, that's plus 600. But that is going to be leg 4 of a parlay that I'm going to use, where I use 3 heavy favorites in front of him. Bo Nickel, minus 325. Josh Hokett, minus 410. And Sean O'Malley, minus 440. Should we get the easy part of that parlay and get the first 3 legs in, the Gaethje KO at plus 600 pushes this parlay to 13-1. That's how I'm going to approach that main event, coupled with a couple of the other chalk fighters on the card.
How good is Hokett? And this guy's quite the character, and fought his way into this event with what he did in his last fight.
Before his last fight, Paul, I'd call him a clown. After his last fight, he's legit. I mean, not very, very few heavyweights were going to beat Curtis Blades that night. This Hokett showed that, in fact, the wrestling that he undertook in college and the semi-pro and pro football playing that he did, yes, he's a capable wrestler. He's got good cardio. He can take a punch because he took a lot of good shots from Blades, but that was just about 4.5 months ago. So he's going to need all that athleticism and all that evasion to try and be able to ground the Black Beast in this fight. It may take him a round of evading Derek Lewis to tire Lewis out in that humidity. But once he takes Lewis down, whether that's the first round or the second round, he will take him down, and that will begin the end of the fight for Derek Lewis.
Okay, excellent. And always read his analysis and plays up at vsin.com. And one you gave out was Garcia plus 145.
Steve Garcia is the underdog on the card that I think holds real merit. Now he's fighting a guy in Diego Lopez that we've seen fight for the title twice, but really show himself to be not ready as far as footwork, quickness, and overall fighting skill to be able to compete with Volkanovski. He lost both of those fights in one-sided fashion, and in the middle, he fought a guy named Jean Silva, and Silva was actually had Lopez in trouble until Silva, over anxious as he was, ran into a spinning elbow, and Lopez won the fight. This will be Lopez's fourth major fight in 14 months, to Volkanovski and Jean Silva. I think that's a little too much. I think it's going to affect him, and he's going to be just a little bit off on Sunday night. And Stevie Garcia, yes, he has not faced the competition that Lopez has, but he enters winning 7 of his last 7 fights, and he has stepped up in competition each way. He decimated David Onama in his last fight, a guy that's tough and willing. So Stevie Garcia, I think, as an underdog, is as good an opportunity as we can find. I'll lay a real bet there because I'm going to use it to try and finance some of these parlays and some of these longer shots that I'll be using on the rest of the card.
Okay, well, here's another long shot for sure, and it's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Lou Finocchiaro, About Business podcast. He's on the Progressive Guest Line, also his weekly write-ups for the sport at vsin.com. Mauricio Ruffi is higher than a $7 favorite against Michael Chandler. What do you make of the betting number for this match?
Anybody that sees Hoofy fight, he's long, he's lean, he's fast, he's just a precision striker with tremendous power. And Michael Chandler is reckless and doesn't use his wrestling and loves to put on a show, but he's 2-4 in the UFC, and he needs a fight, and he needs to win a fight. Chandler's 40, Hoofy 29, and Hoofy's going to be the taller man by 3 inches, have a reach advantage. So this is an interesting fight for Chandler. Does he stay on the outside and give Hoofy every chance to knock him out, or does he employ his wrestling and go tackle the tall, long Brazilian now training in Australia? We've seen Benoit Saint Denis expose Hoofy's ground game. That has to be the approach for Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, any kind of inside the distance is plus 650. Now, if you don't want to get that risky and you just want to take Michael Chandler straight, plus 535. But I'm going to use Chandler in one of those two capacities.
Okay. All right. You like the O'Malley-Zahabi fight to go the distance?
I like Zahabi and O'Malley to go the distance. That's a minus 160. And if I parlay it with Lopez and Garcia not to go the distance at minus 245, that's a plus 130 return, and I'm all about that parlay.
Let me ask you this, Lou. A couple of minutes left. Great breakdown here in the fight as always. You love betting hockey as well. And we talked to you before the Stanley Cup final began. You gave out your thoughts on the Hurricanes against the Golden Knights. It's been an unbelievable series so far. Do you have a strong opinion on the game tonight or how the series is going to play out in the final 2 or 3 games?
I picked the Hurricanes in 6 with you before the series. I will stick with that. However, I'm taking the Knights tonight. Why am I taking the Knights tonight? Because road teams are 42 and 38 against the number. And so road teams seem to have less pressure, and I'm going to be all about the Knights tonight. Plus, they opened at circa plus 130. I'm seeing plus 138, and we're not even close to game time. As that gets closer to game time, I could see that number going up based on the amount of Carolina money that there's going to be nationally. That may not show up at circa because you got smart people in Vegas going to be betting the Knights.
Yeah. You also, congrats, by the way, pal. You gave out the Oklahoma Sooners at, I think it was 15-1. You gave out a couple of different props to win the regional, make it to the College World Series. Here they are now. Do you have a bet? Is there a bet to be made now that we're actually in Omaha? Games are starting this weekend, and 8 teams left to play for the national title.
Yeah, I really put a huge premium on teams that were there last year, Mitch. None of the teams were there last year. However, 2 years ago, North Carolina was there. Much of their team returns. They have a top 3 pitching staff of all the 8 teams remaining. If you're looking to get late and deep in the series, it's North Carolina. And I think if you're looking for a little bit of a price, you could look down the bracket to Oklahoma, who opens with Alabama. They're currently 16-1. Or if you want to stay in the North Carolina bracket, West Virginia enters at plus 750 to win the whole thing. They also have a top 3 pitching staff, and they come in as hot as any team in the College World Series.
Very good. Dynamite analysis, as always. Make sure you follow him on X. He is at Gamlou. The About Business podcast and the weekly write-ups again at vsin.com. Thanks, Uncle Lou. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in, watching the show on YouTube TV, listening, Sirius XM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and any of our affiliates across the country. Another busy hour coming up. We have in-pocket plays, our best bets to get into. Stanford Steve on the program in a half an hour. I think we're going to have Jason Giambi on the show today. And right now we go out to the Progressive guest line as a longtime friend of the show now, Meat Man, Steve Wiss joins the program Because We Win podcast.
The Butcher.
The Betting Weekly studios. Yeah, hey, Butcher. How are you, buddy?
Oh, hey, guys. How's it going? Yeah, I'm just about come down after that first match in the World Cup, South Africa, hanging on to lose 2-0 against Mexico. I was on the under. I was sweating it out. And, you know, I'm not normally a hedger, but even I had to take a little bit of a hedge when they went down to 9 men because that didn't look good, but he managed to win 2-0.
How about that? So you're saying usually both teams to get a red card is 33-1, and we had 3 red cards in the match. You probably think 80-1.
To be honest, I've never even seen over 2.5 red cards being offered by a book.
Sure.
But usually both teams to get a red is in general around 33-1, sometimes a bit more. It would have been, you might be able to get 40, you might have been able to get 40-1 on that today. So someone's cashed it, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And a great call by you. 2 years ago, you gave out Colombia 150, 100-1, and as low as 33-1 now to win the World Cup. Good job, Meat Man.
Yeah, let's hope they can get the job done. They're a solid sort of team. Chance they could run into Spain in the last 16, but sometimes to win it or go deep, you've got to beat the best, right? And maybe they're the sort of team that could give them a bloody nose.
How about a match we have coming up tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock out here on the West Coast. Match number 2 of the day and for the tournament. South Korea takes on Czechia, and you have a bunch of plays for this match, yeah?
Yeah, I've got lots of plays for you here. Main bet under 2.25 goals. Because, I mean, if we consider that first match just now, forget the red cards. After the first goal was scored, there was not really that many main chances when it was 11 versus 11. And even when it went 2-0 to Mexico, they were just looking to control the game and keep it at 2-0. And to only win 2-0 they were against 9 men for the last 10 or 15 minutes is kind of incredible, and just shows you the importance of making sure you get off to a professional start. If you are leading 1-0, I think teams are just going to try and control the game. And if the match stays a tie for a long period, it might end a tie. So I think we're going to see really tight fixture. Chance of really bad weather as well in Guadalajara here in Mexico. Maybe we might get stop-start. Maybe even the players might come off the field. Lack of rhythm and stuff. So I'm seeing a tight one. I mean, I'm seeing South Korea slightly winning it 1-0. But I wouldn't rule out that 0-0 or 1-1 either. So I think under 2.25 Asian goals looks a good bet.
Why South Korea to win the second half at plus 185?
Well, there was an incredible stat that I came across on a live show I was doing on that Because We Win today with Nigel. And something like 12 out of 13 goals that South Korea have ever scored in the World Cup come in the second half.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's a good stat. And now stats are sometimes no good without a reasoning. And I think one of the reasons is South Korea have always been a good physically conditioned side, good stamina, good pace, and that sort of thing. And they have been acclimatizing by having altitude camps at Salt Lake City and in Mexico. And I think they're going to be well in tuned in this game, and they're going to get stronger as the game goes on. Czechia, they're based in Texas. I think it's quite a big ask suddenly going to Mexico, a different country. You're at a decent altitude here as well. And I think South Korea are just going to get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. So to win the second half at plus 185, I think that's generous. I could see it being 0-0 halftime, and South Korea managed to get that goal in the second half to get them a 1-0 win.
This match starts at what time for you? 3 a.m.?
3 a.m.
You gonna be up watching it?
Yeah, I'm going to be betting and watching on baseball. I've got a cricket bet that I've got on in the West Indies to keep me entertained. So, yeah, I'm going to be staying up.
How often are you on with Nigel? You guys doing that on a regular basis?
We are daily now on because we win Betting Weekly Studios, even on the weekends now. So, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
How about two props you like?
Well, one advantage that the Czechs do have here is the height. They are the fourth biggest team in terms of height at the tournament. So there's a couple of lads I like, Thomas Souček and Ladislav Krejci, over 0.5 shots each. Souček is plus 175. Generally, you can get at least plus 120 anywhere. And then Krejci, the captain, around plus 300. Just a shot on target. Hopefully they don't go in. But they are dangerous, very dangerous from set plays. They scored the most set place goals in European qualifying. So Souček and Krejci, watch out for them big lads from corners and free kicks.
Me, Matt, how about a couple of teams to reach the quarters here? We have a common play. I bet the Netherlands. You like them? Tell us why. And who's the other team that you like?
Netherlands to start with, because I think for me, the Netherlands are the sort of team, they beat up teams that they should beat. And when they face someone good, they often get found out. But if you look at the route they've got to the quarterfinals here, if they win their group, which I think they will, they've not got to face another group winner until the quarterfinals. So that's usually money for the Netherlands. They get the job done when they need to get it done. I know some people fancy them to go a bit deeper, but I just think they lack overall quality compared to the real big dogs. At plus 160, though, to reach the quarterfinals looks really good to me. And then USA, yes, I do like you guys over there to have a good tournament, surprisingly. Some people don't think that, but I think you do. Plus 335, Bet Rivers offering that, and I think you can get at least plus 300 in most books. I really think that you can ride the wave of being the host nation. This is possibly the best USA squad ever. Soft section of the draw. Again, you need to probably win the group, which I think they can. Even second place isn't terrible, actually. And also, home teams do get a few more decisions here and there. It's going to add up throughout the tournament. So I think USA can reach that quarterfinals. And plus 335, very generous in my opinion.
How about top goal scorer?
I'm going to go Kylian Mbappe here and also Rafinha. I think France could win the tournament, not going to lie. But a better bet might well be Kylian Mbappe at plus 600 to be the top scorer, because if they're going to win it, he's going to fire. This is a man that comes alive in the World Cup. I mean, his historical record is absolutely brilliant. Look at him in domestic leagues. He's won golden boots in France, in Spain. He didn't even have the most amazing season in La Liga, but he still racked up a lot of goals. One of the big things for Mbappe, he's actually a very, very selfish player, an individual player, but you need that in sports sometimes. And he's not going to turn down the opportunity to shoot. And I think that's the difference, where some of these guys in the market will be looking for the pass rather than shooting. He's not going to be looking for that. He's going to be looking to hit the ball in the back of a net. He can score golazzos, low XG chances. He's on the penalties. And a lot of people saying, France are in a tough group. And they are. But I think the defense of Norway and Senegal isn't that great. And it's the sort of group where he's probably going to have to play all the group games to make sure they win it. So I think Kylian Mbappe, if France are going to win the World Cup, he's going to be the top scorer, in my opinion. Plus 600. Rafinha for Brazil, 25-1. Got to be worth a go. He's going to be on their penalties. And Brazil are maybe sneaking under the radar. You could get 10-1 on them a couple of days ago, but only 9s now. There's some holes in the defense, especially out wide. But they've got some brilliant offensive players, and Rafinha is one of those. Maybe I've got a soft spot for him because he used to play for my team in the Premier League, Leeds United. But he's quality. He's on the penalties. Too big, really. I think Rafinha should be about 12 to 16s.
How about to win the World Cup? Give us a short shot and a couple long shots, please.
Yeah, Portugal. I think Portugal have to be worth a bet at plus 800. Look, they've got probably the best midfield in the world. They've got Ronaldo, and I'm convinced FIFA want Ronaldo to win a World Cup. Mark a date down, 11th of July at Kansas City. We could get Argentina versus Portugal. Messi against Ronaldo for one final time. I know we're going to see it. And I think Portugal have got the squad depth to go all the way, and plus 800. I think they're better than England, and I think they're a better price than what France and Spain are. For some long shots, Switzerland, 80-1. And Ecuador at 100-1. Ooh. Switzerland, because they're a very experienced team, they're well balanced across the board. They're in a nice section of the draw. It's probably the easiest group in the whole competition. Switzerland, Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, really poor group. They should win the group or at least be second in it. And the sort of team that if you draw them in the knockouts, you're not going to really enjoy seeing their name there because they're just awkward. I mean, Ecuador, 100-1. I think they're a really solid unit, brilliant defense, only hardly conceded a goal in qualifying. And they could be a good bet, actually. The market's not being offered many places. The team to concede the fewest goals because they could be racking up 0-0s. They had 8 0-0s in qualifying, which is absurd. So the 0-0 detector's running out with them. You could look at their goalkeeper for the Golden Glove as well, Hernan Galindez, 50-1. I've seen him as big as 80s. So Ecuador, Switzerland would be my 2 dark horses. And of course, Colombia, fingers crossed they can get on a good run.
Quickly here, I've heard a lot of love for the Ivory Coast. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, I'm starting to. I love them for top African team, plus 450. And, you know, I even looked at the futures at plus 300 and I thought, shall I have a little bit of a nibble here? Because the more I think about it, they've got 2 exceptional players. This Diomande in attack is going to become one of the best wingers in the world, in my opinion. And they've got, they've got young defenders as well who are worth keeping an eye on. And, you know, to be top African team just means to finish the furthest out of all of them. There's question marks over several African sides. Morocco are the favourites in this market. But I could see Ivory Coast getting to the last 32, winning that game, and then giving themselves maybe a chance in the last 16, probably get knocked out there. But that might be enough to win this bet. Just when you look at the squads, I just think they've got some of the best young talent in there. And they could surprise a few people. They're in Germany's group. Germany probably win the group, but Ivory Coast could well get second in that group and go on a good run for you.
Very good. Follow Steve on X at MeatmanSoccer, Because We Win podcast, Betting Weekly Studios. Thank you. Best of luck tonight, this weekend. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you next time.
Back at you. And we go to the progressive guest line now. He was there last night, Stanford Steve on the program. I'm asking you this for a very specific reason. How long have you been at ESPN and with SportsCenter, Steve?
Scott's show is in its 11th year on the TV side.
You have seen everything then in like the last decade plus. Was that the best sporting event, most electric atmosphere you've been to?
I've been thinking about it the whole train ride home today, Mitch. And the thing that is so perfect about last night, and Scott and I talked about this on our podcast today, only a Knicks home game in the NBA Finals can you get that cast of characters and that energy in that place, which is the best building in America. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, a college game. Like, I always go back to the Michael Crabtree game at Texas Tech. That's the pinnacle, because the week leading up to it and being there for 4 days, like it was Halloween weekend. It was Texas was number one. Tech was trying to, get over the hump.
I recall the game.
That thing just sticks in my head because it was 3 days long. But that 2-hour span last night where, I should say maybe it was, an hour and a half. When they get it under double digits, or even when they got it to 11, I said, this is real. It's you could just feel it in the building. And that's what stuck out to me. It was just the sound of the comeback, because it was like, okay, got to get a stop here. And we're in the hallway. I couldn't even really see, as it's going on. And I'm like, oh, that's a 3-pointer cheer. That's an and one cheer. Like, you could just tell the level as it kept going up and up and up. And, but it's, I've been there for Big East championships as good as it is. UConn St. John's, UConn Pitt back in the day. I was at the finals in the run in 99. But last night they're just begging you to give them a chance to be a part of the game. And the Knicks hung in there. And I thought Mike Brown sticking with Alvarado was enormous, because Brunson didn't sit in the second half, but he just needed a little bit, not to have to handle the ball the whole time. And Alvarado made huge shots. 2 threes and that spinning layup were enormous. And the little bit of ball handling that he did, I thought was enough for Brunson, to get unlocked, which you saw a different Brunson once Castle got that 4th foul. And that's where the momentum picked up is Jalen got loose a bunch in that run. So, obviously recency bias. No, there's nothing like that was because it wasn't a court storm, but you have every celebrity just on the court in disbelief, people hugging each other because they didn't know what to say. They didn't know what to react because we have never seen anything like that.
That's why I watched all night. And it was because it was, okay, here's Spike Lee coming on. And there's Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David in the background and Larry Johnson and Turturro. And nobody wanted to go home because it was a once in a lifetime. And you're right. I can't believe what just transpired.
Yeah. And Paulie, I'm looking up at the upper deck as we start doing the show, Inside's on the air. Spike comes over. We got OG Anunoby. He's dripping in sweat. And he comes over and you can tell him, Patrick Ewing gave me a hug. It was just, wow. It was mayhem. You want to talk about feeling like a little person. Wow. What a mammoth of a man that is. But the pride that the old Knicks have, I think is awesome. Yep. You have this, Chalamet and Stiller for game 3, guys. Stiller, we got there, with all the security and thing. We walked in, Scott and I got in the building 3 hours prior. And Ben Stiller's already there filming the Spurs walk up the ramp. The guy he's invested, and these guys are legit, man. So it was just a scene, man. Absolute scene, a cast of characters, and everywhere you turned, it was just raw emotion because, McEnroe was great on Inside before the game when he was like, I was 14 when Walt Clyde won 2 titles. He goes, I thought that was going to happen to my, every 3 or 4 years. It's been 53 years.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, here's the $64,000 question then. The Spurs are laying 5.5 in game 5 back in San Antonio. Do they just forget about what happened last night and they're okay and they come out and they beat them?
First off, this has never happened before, right? A team down 3-1 and almost 6-point favorite. There's no way. I can't ever remember. Maybe when Draymond got suspended, I don't know.
You're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of, but I don't think Cleveland was that big of a favorite anyway. Because that was in Oakland too. I think the Spurs are young enough to move on past it.
So do I.
I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as you don't want to. People say the series is over. I just am still cautious because. When you look at the way the 2-2-1-1-1 lines up, every quarter, there's going to be more pressure. If San Antonio comes out, shoots the lights out like they did in the first half, the Knicks they're not coming back in that game. So now, what's your next opportunity? Game 6 at home. And what's lurking if you can't close the door there? You got to go on the road and win a game 7 in a series that you were up 3-1. And that's, you don't want to get there. And every minute that goes by in each of these next games, how many there are, the pressure adds on the Knicks. And I just wonder, as taxing as this series has been, we've kind of, stayed away from injuries, which I see, you see starting to pile up on the Stanley Cup side. So, anything can happen. But, I thought the Spurs would be worth more money than they were because this is the same price it was when they went down 2-0, right? So 3-1, 2 games difference. I guess it's the same. But yeah, I would be very wary of San Antonio.
Great point about how the 2-3-2 going away really helped because if another game in the Garden would have been a killer.
Oh,
how about they have to fade a Wemby, misplaced elbow now and everything. The fact that they have to win and dodge a possible suspension if something could happen.
Yeah, I get it, and that's the thing that was, in the building, at halftime, the Spurs have 76 points.
Right.
And all the whining and complaining about Towns with 2 fouls. I'm like, guys, they just set a record for NBA 3-point percentage in the finals game. It's not because Towns has 2 fouls. They're shooting the lights out. Your defense is non-existent. Buckle it up. I was walking behind Rick Brunson going back out to the court for halftime. And I could just see he had this look of disbelief. And I saw him after the game. I was like, hey, I was walking behind you. And he's like, man, I didn't want to come out of the locker room. He goes, but then he points to, his son and everything. He's like, that's a credit to those guys. They knew what they had to do and they went out and did it. So just incredible. I mean, it's really hard, guys, because I'm trying to find words to explain it. And there just isn't. Like like I said, the sound of it, the comeback, and just the feeling in there of just pure euphoria was unbelievable.
I think I have the closest comp, if I recall correctly. Were you not on the air immediately after the Cubs won Game 7?
I was at Wrigleyville.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was scary. That was scary. I was like on a little podium waiting to go on, and all of a sudden they started carrying the podium. I mean, it was mayhem because all the bars closed as soon as the game ended. And so everybody was out. I was like, this might be it, guys. I might be going down here. That was a scary one. I'll never forget that one. But, like I said, what makes it is that building and that cast of characters. Like you're only getting that night and maybe, Game 6. But the idea that the first half was so bad that when you factor in all the things, it's for sure up at the top because especially being so recent, but that idea, that building is what sets it apart.
Steve, you are the man. Can't thank you enough. That was great. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of the series.
Mitch, I got a De'Aaron Fox jersey for you in the mail.
Good. Can't wait. Going right in the garbage.